everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend Ingrid Honkala. Hi, Ingrid. I'm so glad. Honkala. I realized that we hadn't talked in a year, but it doesn't ever feel like that with you. When I reconnect with you, it's like, you know.
I know. It's like, oh gosh, it's not even like in the mind incredible, like 1 year have passed, Kathy, and we're just talking here like we just met yesterday. So this is amazing.
Yes. So Ingrid, so much has happened in a year, especially with the world and how people are waking up. I really think that this has been a big wake up call for conscious people to step up and show their gifts so I'm so excited to have you on and talk about the way you see it and how your light beings see it, because you have superpowers. You do, Wonder Woman, So Ingrid, you have a wonderful book. Could you talk a little bit about it's an autobiography, correct?
Yes.
So let's start with that. Let's start with you're a PhD and you have this amazing story.
Yes, thank you, Kathy. And just for people to see the book here, we have in English and in Spanish now. The name of the book is A Brightly Guided Life, and how a scientist learned to hear her inner wisdom. And Kathy, it's funny because the way the book happened is incredible, because I wasn't planning to write this book. I was at the time working as a scientist, working for NASA. I am an oceanographer doing all kind of studies in the ocean, and then it just hit me. I had during those days the possibility to do a trip to India, to Dharamsala, India, and meet the Dalai Lama.
Oh.
And then I have the possibility to spend 1 week receiving his teachings. And when I came back from that trip, I realized that, oh my God, I have been so disconnected from that truth that I started to be aware of when I was a child, and I had a near-death experience. And from like the first 19 years of my life, it's been like I had the very strong connection with spirituality, reading books. My grandmother, Kathy, by the age of 5, she was bringing already knowledge about spirituality, and we're exchanging because I already have a lot of awareness. By the age of 8,
wow,
she taught me how to meditate. By the age of 12, she brought me to the first Zen Buddhist temple.
Really?
Yes, and when I'm there, Kathy, imagine that the monk just taught me this amazing breathing meditation technique, and I'm just there, wow, immersed in this place where I felt this is incredible. And at the end, I said to the monk, my grandma's a very busy woman. I don't think we can really come back that much. And he said, you never have to come back. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, yes, because you are the temple. So wherever you are, you can practice this meditation technique. You just breathe, be present, and you were there. And I'm like, wow. So from that day on, so for me, spirituality, meditation, practicing present is what is being active throughout my life. But of course, there reached a point when I went to college and I got busy and I became a marine scientist. This is the other amazing thing, Kathy. My near-death experience happened with a drowning.
Water, yes.
I drowned when I was close to 3 years old. And then people asked me, how could you become a marine scientist if you drown? So that's the other cool question. And I said, because I didn't stay in the trauma of the drowning, which was pretty traumatic, but I stayed in the glory of what happened. And what happened was that drowning brought me to see the light.
Right. Right.
Drowning brought me to realize I am this being of light. And to feel the presence of what we call God, just infinite love and presence and consciousness and light. So after that, I wanted to know everything, Kathy. I wanted to go deeper into everything. I wanted to study everything. Then, yeah, by the age of 9, my grandma was giving me books like the Bhagavad Gita.
Wow, at 9.
9, the book of self-realization, the book
And
of
okay, so
discernment.
I have to let people know that this is in Bogota. Also, so this is culturally, it's a Catholic country. So the
Yes.
fact that your grandmother was into all this stuff, that you had to have picked that whole thing before you embodied. Come on.
Yes, exactly. We're like, this was part of the plan, like, and that's what I started to communicate, as you know, with beings of light, as after my near-death experience when I was 3, 4 years old. This all this started, and then they told me there will be people put in your path to guide you and to help you. So yeah, so you're very right, Kathy. This was already part of the plan. So my grandma's there feeding me with all these
Wow.
incredible spiritual knowledge, and I'm now also practicing because I'm doing meditation. By the age of 16, I started to hear the grass talking to me. Then even younger, I started to communicate with animals, with beings of light. I'm doing all these. But what happened, Kathy, by the age of 19, 20, when I joined college, now I've been so different from everybody else that you compare yourself, and that comparison of course brings the contrast to know where you are at, but also it's when you start feeling that suffering. I'm not like everyone else.
Right. I'm alone.
I am alone. I'm different. I had 3 sisters. Now at that age, it was parties and
Yeah.
going out and boyfriends and college, and I'm like, I'm not like anybody of
Right.
these people. Like you say, I was born in Colombia. By the time people were very close to all these spiritual stuff, that Buddhist temple that I went to visit, that was unheard. I mean, that was one temple, like isolated thing. So it was like I was immersed in a world that most people did not understand.
Right. Right.
So yeah, by the age of 19, 20, I'm like, you know what, I want to be like everyone else. And
Yes.
it's when I told the beings of like, can I just be by myself, because that communication had been open.
Right. Right.
And then is when they said yes, of course, that's the free will. And then I said to people, they say, how could you say this to the beings of God? How could you walk away from the angels? I'm like, no, I mean, in reality, it's like, say that is like, I give the analogy, it's like when you leave home to go college, it's not like you left your parents forever, or that,
Right.
like,
Right.
you just change location. So what I did, just drop in a vibrational frequency, but your parents are always one call away.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Same thing. The being so light didn't go anywhere. I just changed my
Well,
vibration.
I'm going to interrupt you because I have a similar experience because I was aware of other beings from 8 on. So I know what it's like where it's busy, kind of. I mean, and you see things that no one else sees, and then you're spending a lot of your time trying to figure out, what do I do with this information? Do I say anything? Don't I say anything? And
Mhm.
so I can imagine that you're studying, you're trying to have a life, and it's like, could you just dim it for a while? I can't it's too much input, actually.
Yes, Kathy, that's very true. And then the part of all this awakening process is not just becoming a self-realized being, but also becoming a self-actualized being. How
Yes.
do I bring all this into the world? But to be able to do that, Kathy, I needed to be grounded. And if I was walking in the clouds out there, then I could not really bring and land all these teachings. So what happened is that at that moment, that's what I guess my inner guidance was telling me to do. You need to ground.
Perfect.
And then, of course, I picked the perfect career, science, and I picked like even the perfect friends at the moment. Even the boyfriend I had at the moment that I picked to date was not a guy that was spiritual, because then I will continue in the same path. It was a guy that had a band. He played, he sang, he liked partying, he liked to go out. So like, come on, girl, and get grounded.
How perfect. How perfect. That's funny.
Yes.
Kimberly Shark Clark talks about that her husband's Ben Franklin and she is the kite.
Yes. Nowadays, that's with my husband. I said, like, oh my God, if it wasn't for the anchor, I've been just flying away.
Isn't that perfect? Isn't that cool?
Yes. So,
That's perfect. So,
so
so,
yeah.
so you become a marine biologist, and which is uncanny because you drowned. So you should have had fear of water. You should have, but you didn't. And so did that help by seeing the beautiful life forms and the whole other world of existence underneath the water? Did that help you remember the light?
Oh, you know, Kathy, I just for me, it's like it was actually connecting and having more appreciation for this world, because after my near death and all that happened, I didn't want to be here.
Right.
Was the sense I don't want, and I didn't want to come back, and I was very angry for a while, and I didn't feel I belong. And having these experiences, even of being able to be merged in that beautiful environment, you know, one of the things I love the most about diving is that you can be surrounded by a group of people, but you don't need to talk. You are in just experiencing, feeling, seeing, and sharing at a different level, because you just look at, you see something beautiful, you turn to the other diver, and you're like, you're just communicating at a deeper level. So, yes, Kathy, it was guiding me to see that this world has all this beauty too,
That's neat.
and where we can feel that sense of belonging, and how can we appreciate all the amazing things that nature have to offer. And that's why all my projects after that, all the things I did in my career, Kathy, was creating consciousness about how people use their resources in a sustainable way, in a conscious manner. And I work a huge project about mangrove ecosystems, teaching people to grow, not to forbid people, but to teach them we are nature. Don't forget, we are nature. And if we treat nature with love and respect, nature treat us back with love and respect.
Right. Well, so that's a lot of that teaching that your grandmother instilled in you at a young age too. Is a whole different. It's more almost indigenous way of looking at our relationship with everything. So more in harmony with everything.
Yes, exactly. So now, you know, that's, I love what you say, because at the end of the day, it's all about balance. Balance. How we bring what we are receiving there and grounded here.
Right.
But we have, what is the position of the heart in the middle? How we ground all these teachings. So we have what is coming from up there, what is coming from below, and what is the middle place, the heart. How we learn to teach it, how we learn to connect, how we learn to share it. So that is that place of balance. So yeah, so but the other thing, Kathy, and going back, all this is bringing us back to the book, and is that the moment I closed that door at that moment with the beings of light, because this is one thing I have to mention this first. After I came back from my near death, I kept having out of body experiences.
Okay.
I kept seeing that, finding that realm of the light. So it's like it continue happening when people ask me, how can you remember And I said, people, how can I forget? For me, it's like it continued happening. And after that, meeting the beings of light. So I bring this to the people, Kathy. I said, it's like for me, the door never closed.
Beautiful.
And not long ago, the beings of light said to me, Ingrid, of course the door never closed, because guess what? There is no door. We are the ones that put a door due to conditioning, due to beliefs, due to all experiences, due to attachment to the past. So the beings of light said the sun is always shining, to give an analogy. And you put the windows, but open the window and you see the sun is still there.
Right, right.
Light of God is always, always present. We're the ones that separate. We're the ones that create that door, that separation, that layer of division.
So do you feel that that well, I've spoken to a lot of NDE people, and a lot of people got their superpowers after their experience because they didn't close the door, or they were not afraid to experiment and play with it. And that's another aspect of this, is the fearlessness.
Yes.
Would you speak to that a little bit?
Oh my God, yes, Kathy. And that's one of the really superpower, not to fear death. I think that's the most important of all, because I think our ingrained fear goes from the place of someday we're going to die. So the fear of death is what I think keep us holding back the potential of our beingness. So yeah, no fearing that brought me to travel the world. I've been in 56 countries of the world, between working as an oceanographer and just doing my own traveling, because I travel alone a lot. People say, like, how could you be a woman traveling a lot in all these countries? And I said, because I always was in the company of the beings of light. I listen to my inner guidance and I don't have fear.
Right, right.
So yeah, that brought me to be able to live a life where I would just say I go there and don't feel fear about doing it, or I speak there, or I do this thing, or I move forward to do this. So yes, it brings you to just have a more fulfill, I guess,
Right.
life.
That's what this time period has done, is it allowed people, especially after this long of a time. Originally there was this invisible enemy that you might die any moment, so you had to come to some sort of agreement with, okay, I'm happy with what I've got. Nope, I'm going to switch everything I've got. I'm going to do my soul mission. I'm going to, like, everyone I've met from the near death experiencers through ions, all of them are like type A personalities. They're doers, but they aren't aggressive. They don't. It's not a power over. It's a co-creation at a high level with the universe, where you just have to do it. Do you find that?
Yes, because you're not reacting, you're responding. See, so it's a big difference. I don't have the sense I have to go aggressive to react to anything. You go from that place of inner wisdom, of knowing what to do. I started to have visions since I was a child. That's one of my superpowers that I started to have.
Yeah.
So it was that knowing by 9 or by 5, I knew I was going to be a scientist. And I told my dad, I'm going to be a scientist. And I was born in the mountains, far away from the ocean. I said, I'm going to be a marine scientist. And my dad, like, okay.
Who is this kid?
Like, what you want to do, I support you, we'll see. And by 12, I knew I was going to work for NASA and for the Navy. By 9, I knew who I was going to marry. I mean, I had the vision of the person I met 20 years later. And by just like that. So it was that sense of always knowing and just feeling the sense, I just have to listen to what my guidance is saying, and then just act from there. Act from there. And always being in that place of, Kathy, with meditating for so long, I came to the clarity that meditation was not a doing, was a state of being. So if I live my life from that space of presence, you always can make that pause, that stop, and just say, what is the step to take?
Perfect.
What do I do? What do I need to do after this? But again, going back to the whole experience, and why did I write the book, was because at that moment when I am 19 years old and I said to the beings of light, I need to just kind of do my own thing, bye bye. I put the analogy too. That is like, say, for 19 years, I was in a room with the light on. And I knew where to go. I knew what to do. Because if you're in a room with the light on and the room is full of furniture, you don't sleep in the furniture because you can see.
Right.
What happened in this analogy, the moment you turn off the light, now I was in a room in the dark. What I'm trying to convey with this, challenges come, and if you have that clarity, you have that presence, you're in that light, then you kind of know what to do with clarity. But once you turn off the light, now you're going to trip
Right.
into all the furniture in the room. So the challenges started to come, and I had to face 20 years of very, very big challenges.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you turned it off for 20 years.
20 years. And you know what?
Wow.
Kathy, the being, so why do I mention 20 years? Because I am 19 and I'm sitting in a bus, and we were having a lot of adversities at home, and Colombia country at war. My parents were about to divorce. My sisters in their teenage years going through this crazy time. And I'm sitting in a bus, and I said to the beings of light, I wish none of this was real. And I said to people, watch out for what you ask for. Because the moment I said this, Kathy, the bus started to dematerialize.
Really?
And I could know all the constituents, like organic, inorganic, everything that made this bus possible. And I started to like completely turn into trillions of particle photons until there was only light. So I experienced something similar that I had in my near death, but now in complete awareness, here sitting in this bus with this human body. And I'm like, what just happened? And then at that moment, I came back with two very profound questions, because I went to the place of feeling the oneness, the
Yeah.
wholeness. And I said, how is it possible to forget who we truly are? And when did we stop being one with the whole?
Beautiful.
But at that very moment, because I felt that I was a victim too, because it was the sense that I'm not like anybody else. I don't fit into this world. I don't belong. I am an alien. So the third question was, why me? Why this is happening to me?
Yeah.
And at the same moment, I was asking for the beings of like, give me my space. So this is all happening. And it's when they say, in 20 years, you will understand. What? 20 years? You crazy?
And when you're 19, that's a lifetime, obviously.
That's a lifetime. Exactly. So now I'm looking at 20 years. And of course, I didn't realize 20 years passed, but during those 20 years, I had a lot. So this is what people will love in the book, is all these sufferings and challenges. But every chapter of the book is going through one of those challenges. But what was the purpose that I discovered later, the clarity I got about it, and the teachings from all these challenges. So it's when people come to me, Ingrid, oh my God, I read your book, and it's like I'm living my life in your book. You're talking about me, and now you're telling me how to resolve it. You're telling me how to get the clarity. So that's the beauty of the book. So throughout that time, Kathy, I live in a war zone. I was almost raped and murdered. I was with abusive relationships. Things were extremely, extremely hard throughout those 20 years. And like for many people, like all the sufferings and challenges and adversities we go through. And by the age of 39 is when this trip to meet the Dalai Lama happened, to go back to the loop of how we started this conversation. But guess what? Incredibly, although meeting the Dalai Lama and being with him was such an amazing experience, when I came back from that trip, I fell into deepest depression of my life.
Oh, no.
Because it was the realization I'm not connected with my authentic self. Throughout all my time as a scientist, as busy and doing, and I forgot who I truly was. I disconnected from that true nature, and then it was the sense of like, I have to reconnect. I have to go back. Although, yes, I live with my life with really good principles, with spirituality, but I got busy just writing science articles, just living life, getting married, and going through all those challenges and thinking again, why me? And then when I went into this deep depression, I really, I mean, there was a point, Kathy, where I thought I want to kill myself.
Yeah.
And then I had the just existential at that moment crisis. And then is when I received this beautiful, like powerful message from the being. So like like the reconnection happened because it was when I did one of these prayers. I went back to pray with all my heart, and my prayer, Kathy, wasn't change my outer reality. It was help me see with clear eyes.
Perfect.
I said, God, help me see because I cannot see. I have become blind. Bring me the guidance. And the next day I woke up with the clarity. And the guidance is simple, Kathy. It was like, you need help, go to see this psychologist. And then I went to the website and I found a name. And with very good reviews, I wrote his name. And look what happened, Kathy. The same day, 2 different sources, 2 different people, completely different agencies, places I met there at the base. And they're like, oh, we talk about, I said, I'm looking for a therapist. And they, oh, what about this person? And it was the same name I have written.
Wow.
So I understood. I said, oh, this is a message. This is the person. I went to meet him. He was very spiritual, he was a psychologist, incredible man. And then after talking to him, he asked me to write the list of my sufferings. And I said, oh God, okay. So I wrote, he said it was very cathartic to write, which is absolutely truth. And then I wrote all these lists. And when we read the list together, he's like, Ingrid, in my 37 years of practice, I have never met anyone that has suffered this much and is mentally stable.
Wow.
I was in awe, Kathy. I'm like, what? I didn't think that I was the one that suffered the most, but I knew I had suffered a lot.
Yeah.
That's why the book came, because it was like, one, it was writing all these and put it in out there, and 2, it was like the step of realizing how can I help to others through all these experiences.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, Kathy, and I say the guy again, like 20 years before, but of course this was knocking my door throughout the years. But the question again, why me?
Right.
Me, why I had to have all this suffering? So I said to him, why me with this anguish? And the answer was the one that turned on the light bulb. The most simple but powerful answer, Kathy. He said, why not?
Oh.
And the moment he said, why not? He's like, and he started to say, look, thanks to this, you have done that. Thanks to this. It's not like he was taking notes. He just was having all this clarity bring forward to me. And I'm like, oh, and my neurons started to all connect. Thanks to this and thanks to this, that. Then I found purpose behind all my experiences.
Beautiful.
And 3 things happened at that moment, Kathy. The first thing, I would say 3 miracles. The first one was, wow, the realization that nothing ever had happened to me. It had happened for me.
Wow.
Then I could be sitting in this room at this moment with this clarity, this awakening, this sense of power, like, all that happened for me. The second thing was the absolute clarity, the knowing that none of this was happening at that moment. At that moment, my only true reality is that I'm talking to this psychologist, that he's a cool guy, and I am Ingrid sitting in this chair. The rest is all in my head. And I could decide what to do with it. Wow, that is that sense of inner power. I can decide what to do with the thoughts in my head. And the third thing was the realization that, wow, what true forgiveness was, Kathy, when it was the realization that there was really nothing to forgive. Because again, nothing had happened to me. If it happened for me, then it was a gift. Even the guy killing me and trying to rob me, or trying to kill me and rob me years ago in the beach, which is on the book, and all the war zone and all the abuse, all the stuff was kind of the life shaking us hard to say, Ingrid, wake up, wake up. And then now when I saw purpose behind everything, I'm in the state of absolute gratitude. Gratitude, Kathy. So when I'm in that state of gratitude, I was absolutely elevated. It's like, what is to forgive? This was all part of Ingrid waking up. And then I go into my car that day and I have what I call a big awakening. I am in the car, and similar experience that I had 20 years ago in the bus repeated in the car. And now I'm sitting in the car, everything dissolves, and I feel the presence of God in everything, Kathy. It's the sense of like the windshield, the car, every part of my being, everything that I am, absolutely everything was God, was it. And I'm like, I just stop the car and I'm like in this state of absolute bliss. And then is those two questions that I have asked 20 years ago, before that they were answered, and is when I realized 20 years had passed.
Wow.
And these questions were, when did we stop being one with the whole? And how is it possible to forget who we truly are? And at that moment, the answer was, one never stopped being one. One never left the source. One just became distracted and seemingly forgot.
Oh, beautiful.
So at that moment, that door opened, like all those layers I had created, all the doors I have created just open up. And a little bit after that, I went on a trip to Costa Rica. And I was in the ocean. I was taken by the waves. And it was like, I thought I was going to drown. I was, a wave just came and it rolled over me and it took me. And then another wave came and another, and I was being thrown. And I'm like, then some surfers, my husband, they saw me, they pulled me out of the water. And I am standing there in the beach looking at the ocean, Kathy, and it's when I realized that during that situation in the ocean that I almost drowned again.
Oh, gosh.
Not for a minute, I felt fear.
Wow.
Not even the little bitty fear. So standing there and looking at the horizon of the waves, I said, no matter the size of the wave, I am ready to surf.
That's beautiful.
And then is when the book came, and because I thought, I'm never writing a book like this. I mean, I thought it was egocentric. I said, oh, writing a book about me. But at this moment is when I had the clarity. This is not about you. This is about what you can do for others.
Right. Well, and I love that you were able to see and forgive everything that happened so that you could take it as an experience, so you'd have compassion to help others. Because if you hadn't, it's embodying it, really, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, that you said right there is absolutely beautiful, Kathy, because it's when I realized if it wasn't for those 20 years, how could I be more compassionate, more loving, not just towards other by myself, self-compassion
Right.
and compassion for the others, love, self-love, and how could I have the empathy to be able to understand and help other people if I never was there in that place.
Well, you could have a concept of it, but not the heart experience. That's the thing, is when you're coming from knowing, that's a different place, but not in judgment of the knowing. Just the
Perfect. Yes.
wow, wow. So you just said you, before we got on, you said you had just done a workshop. So you're starting to do workshops with this. Tell us a little bit about that. I want to know.
Oh yes, thank you, Patty. That was beautiful. I was invited by a beautiful lady. Her name is Heather Driscoll. She has a really beautiful spiritual center in Woodstock, Connecticut, and she invited me to do a workshop, a weekend retreat, and it was amazing. Is when it's like that you really know that is your passion now. It's just I felt that connection, I felt that joy, and we have people telling me at the end of the retreat, you changed my life,
Oh,
you changed my life. And just hearing that is that knowing I'm doing the right thing. But this is the other thing, Kathy. I said to people, and I said it with my heart right now, I always bring that clarity. I'm not doing anything, I'm a vehicle. I'm a vehicle, and all of us are doing this work. We're the vehicles for the light to shine through. The more we open those doors, the more we allow the light to shine through. And I say to people, pat yourself in the shoulder and say thank you to yourself for allow yourself to be here.
perfect. Perfect.
Oh, that was incredible. Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to hear more about that, and wonder how 3 days of being immersed in that love and light has to be transformational, and a reconnection to who we really are, because that's what I keep thinking, that this period, more and more people seem to be waking up to conscious choices, and
Yes.
to being kind and love and self-love, and seeing how they best serve. A lot of people are opening up to it, but they really may have a one part that they're stuck on, one story that they're stuck on.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's the part. And that's what the big teachings brought to people in the clarity in this weekend retreat is like the process is just start from calming the mind and becoming the observer of ourselves. Start looking within and start giving ourselves permission to stop, to give that pause, to realize I am more than this external reality, and I am this super powerful being that needs to be observed and needs to be understood and needs to be revealed. So it's like it was absolutely, absolutely beautiful how we did a whole weekend and a whole process of just bring people to go from the simple place of look at yes I'm more than this to look at how powerful we can be. Healing is within ourselves.
Beautiful.
Then that was beautiful. And now yeah, more things like are coming. I'm teaching another retreat, but this is going to be online with the Theosophical Society. Then there's going to be of course the IANS conference that this is presenting there in two different I was invited to be a featured speaker and then in a panel.
Yeah.
The panel is going to be amazing because it's about the experiences of people from different countries. So it's like a global experience. We're from India, from Cameroon, from Colombia, from the US, from Australia, and then we brought all together to show how our worlds and how people around us see these experiences in different cultures.
Right, right. Well, that's one of the things I love about Ions, especially when you go in person. There's people from all over the world that I think the one in Colorado that we had like 4 years ago, there were people from Bulgaria. There were people, it was really interesting. And everyone, we see how much we're all the same,
Yes.
even though the cultures that we came from or the religions that we came from are different. We're all so much the same, and we're all on the path to seeking love and light.
Yes, yes. So it's beautiful. And you know what, Kathy, that was my the message, the purpose of my near death experiences was to bring the message of the power of connection. And
Beautiful.
you name it earlier, is the connection of reconnecting with our truth and reconnecting with the truth of all of us. That's the place where that's why we say, when I recognize and see my true nature, I can see that true nature in everyone else. But
Right.
sometimes because we cannot see ours, the world is functioning as a mirror. So we can see what we are missing. Like perception is projection.
Right, right.
So we're here all to show each other the path.
The path home. I'm just assuming, because I got to see the Dalai Lama when he was here a couple years ago, and what was amazing, it wasn't just him. We were in a basketball stadium, so there
Mhm.
were thousands, I don't know, 15,000 people, and I got to sit with a bunch of people from Nepal.
Oh,
I had bought a ticket. They had an extra ticket, and their children, everyone was dressed in costume. I was the only Caucasian, and everyone was dressed in costume but me. And their kids were up dancing in front of him as part of the ceremony. And the energy in the room, I don't know if it was him or the adoration in the of the participants in the space, but there was so much love. It was like a blanket of love being around.
yes.
That's a trigger. That's an activation itself.
Yes, and Kathy is all of us, because the moment we make the decision to shine that light, then we are going back to the true nature that we are, love.
Right.
Love. And people like him, people like every spiritual leader or every person that is already working in its process of awakening and becoming that beacon of light, they become what the beings of light call frequency holders. Then that's why, and they show me beautiful, like you just mentioned, they show me, like, just as an analogy, like they say, you see the light outside your porch at night, how when the light is on it attracts all the bugs, is because
Yeah.
that's what we feel. We want to go back to the nature that we are, light. So when these all these people start waking up, what they're doing, their light is strong, and we are attracted to, I want that light, I want the light that I am. So we all start, like, that's why the work that we do is so important, Kathy, and every awakened being will serve in the awakening of hundreds and thousands more,
That's right.
because we become that light for each other.
Right, right, right. And
Yes.
that's what I had a spiritually transformative experience about 16, 17 years ago. And I had already been seeing and hearing things and knew I had a group of beings with me from being a little girl. But I didn't call I now call some of them angels, but you called them the beings of light. Did you think they were angels when you were little, or did you always call them the beings of light?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that, because yeah, when I started to see them, I was only 4.
Right.
I didn't have any reference. I called them for what I saw, because when I saw the one of these first beings that was shining in gold, it was a golden light, and then the being transformed itself into a human
Oh,
to
wow.
show me I am like you. And when it touched me in the head, I said, "You are a being of light." And from that day on, I called them beings of light. Later in my life, Kathy, when I was about 6 years old, I started to see what we call spirits.
Oh, okay.
And then is when I said, my mom had revealed to me, because my mom was the first person that validated that I could see things. Because in a school, I was drawing beings of light everywhere. Then they called my mom thinking I had imaginary friends. And she saw the drawings. We realized I could see beings of light and I could see auras. And it's when my mom didn't say anything in front of the teacher. It was like, let's go home. And then my mom said to me, I believe you, because I also see things that others can.
Ah.
So again, like you wrote before, I was born in the right bloodline with my mom, my grandmother. I mean, I was there and I was going to receive all this help and guidance. And thanks to my mom, knowing that I could really see things and all that, I didn't end up in, like, who knows, like a mental place, or yeah, this girl is crazy. No, she's like, I also can see things since I was a child, a little child.
Yeah.
All that is in the book. So my mom could see spirits too. But by the age of 6, when I saw the first spirit, Kathy, I was petrified in fear.
Oh.
I don't know. I was like, what is happening? And I could see it was a silhouette that entered in the room. That whole story is in the book too. It's too long to
Okay.
tell, but it's when I saw, and I knew it was a man. I saw the outfit, everything. And then I couldn't even talk. I couldn't even move. So once the being it went into a closet, the light was on, it turned off the light, went into closet, closed the door. All that happened in front of my face, and I'm like, and then not long after that, my mom, we were all sleeping in the same room because the house had been painted.
Uh-huh.
Then the smell of paint was pretty strong. So we stayed in this room. And then my mom stood up and I followed her. And I told her what I had seen. And she said to me, oh, yeah, those are the spirits that live in the house. And I said, the moment, Kathy, when I said, Mom, the spirits and the beings of light are not the same. And then my mom said, explain really with clarity what you see. And then I started to explain, and she started to cry, and she said, I think you see angels.
Oh.
And I said, Mom, but they don't have wings. Oh, we knew the Catholic teaching. So, and I'm like, I don't know. So because I already have been talking to the beings of life for a couple of years, I asked. So the first question I asked was like, what is happening with these? I call them dark spirits because they cause me fear, not
Yeah.
because it was
Yeah.
nothing bad. And they said, the first answer, Kathy, was amazing, because they said, that thing that you call spirits, you, us, I thought they were going to say, we're all different. The answer was, we're all the same.
Oh.
They said the difference is the level of awareness
Oh.
that you have about who you truly are. The more aware you are about who you truly are, the more connected you are with the light that you are, and the higher is your vibrational frequency.
Perfect.
And that's the beings that are shining like beings of light. Then they said to me, then what happened is that there was nothing wrong with the spirits. They were just vibrating at a lower frequency. And because I was vibrating so high, that's how that fear was, just that disconnection.
I see.
So I had it clear now. The next is that I said, my mom said that you're angels. Is that what you are? And the answer was amazing, because they said, we are what you want us to be.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So they present to us because there's no hierarchies or anything like that in the realm of the life. But later in life, I also started to know about ascended masters. And then they say, are you ascended masters? And then they say again, they talk about nature of all of us being the same, but the difference again, how aware you are about who you truly are. And that is a path of experience and awakening. So they said, yeah, there's beings that already had this whole journey, and then they are more, it appeared to be more evolved because they're more connected to the truth that they are. So they're just shining their intense bright light. So yeah, it's when they said, when I was little, you can call us whatever you want.
Perfect. That is so beautiful. And you were so supported to have this experience and to come out the other end to help other people. I mean, and this is the perfect time. This is right now. There's so many people. There's lots of people leaving the planet. There's a lot of people that are dealing with feeling victimized and trapped in their lives. And so, do you have any suggestion for? I had mentioned to you right before we got on about the possibility of talking about grief and how to deal with grief. Do you have any suggestions for us, me?
Yes, yes, of course. And I said that we have to be very gentle with ourselves, loving, compassionate. My mom, between all these traumas that last year brought to all of us with COVID, so many people dying. My mom died last year
Oh,
too.
oh, okay.
He was discovered. It was very sudden, Kathy. So there was not even time for us to be with her and say
Wow.
what is happening. No, it just happened like that. My mom was. They discovered that she had ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow.
They thankfully, yeah, they did the surgery. The surgery went good, but she died right after the surgery. It was
Her heart.
a blood clot in the lung, so she just. So this was something. Of course, she was diagnosed 2 weeks later. She was gone.
Wow.
So no time for nothing. I was here. I couldn't go to Colombia because of COVID. The airports were closed. So imagine all the amount of pain and suffering that this brought up.
Right.
I would say if I didn't have the clarity that I have, the awareness that I have, the possibility of be calm and bring my mind to the place where I can breathe deep, hold myself, nurture myself with that love and compassion, the suffering would have been unbearable. It already was, but I could hold on to
Right.
something.
Right. Right.
And there was a moment, Kathy, where I met this being of light that was absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And usually, I don't meet beings of light as human. I meet them as light.
Yeah.
But in this occasion, I guess I was going through that pain and suffering, needed that grounding. And I had this vision when I met this being of light. It was a man, really, really handsome, beautiful being of light. And he said to me, Ingrid, you want to go and have fun? Like, let's go party, let's go. That was part of the vision. And I looked at him and I said, no, I can't. And he said to me, why not? And I said, and at that moment, I had like a live review of all my grieving, Kathy.
Wow.
And I realized, and what all this COVID, what is that all this is bringing to ourselves? The realization that the grief that we feel now, the sadness that we feel now, the pain that we feel now is not something of now. It brought me to realize that I have been grieving throughout my entire life.
Wow.
And that I was grieving because there was things that happened even from my childhood. So much of the unresolved inner child was in me, and that's in, I would say,
Everybody.
98% of the people.
Right.
We have not ever addressed our emotional body because we've been told, move on. What
Yeah.
is wrong with you? No, just get over it.
Right.
And it was showing me, look at all the unresolved emotion that is inside you. And I saw my grieving since the time I was a child, when we had abusive caregivers, when I came back from my near death and I didn't want to be here, and that was never resolved because there was nobody to talk with about.
Right.
When I went to school, when I kids bullied me, everything that happens to us, and they show me there's three times of grieving. Grieving comes from three sources, not three, but come from three different sources. They said you grieve because of change. So
Oh,
imagine who hasn't gone through change.
yes.
And most time we move home, we move, and life is fast, and they never said to the child, look, this is our new environment. Sorry, we have to move. What about we adapt to the news? Like, just get
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
That's the word everybody uses. So it will be change. The other one is every time an expectation has not been met.
Exactly.
Oh God, tell me anybody if that doesn't cause grief. And the other one is, of course, losing someone we love. So it's what this did, the passing of my mom, this grieving of my mom, this grieving of COVID brought me to realize there's a lot of stuff inside of me that needs to be resolved, not from now, but from my whole
Yeah.
experience as a human. And a lot of it is also our ancestors, our all. Imagine all that stuff we're carrying on from all the lives, all the people. But this is the other thing: is when the teachings came with clarity. You can use all these to fuel your awareness.
Exactly.
All these to fuel your presence. And the beings of light showed me at that moment. You know why you? Because I asked, what is all this pain and suffering for? And then it's when they showed to me, it is there because you love your mom. You love her so much. That's why you're sad. That's why you're
Right.
grieving. And
Right.
they say, that hole, that you feel like a hole in your chest, like a hole in your belly. They said that hole that you feel there is to claim the light back. Fill it with light.
Oh,
Fill
beautiful.
it with love. Fill it with just that self compassion, nurture it with a hug. And if you feel that you cannot be the one giving you that hug because you don't know how to love yourself, think about your
Yeah.
pet that loves you, your
Yeah.
son, your child, your daughter, your father, your friend. Think about the beings that would offer that love to you, and just embrace yourself with that love.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure that's going to help so many people because for me, I kept, here, I do believe that my friend that just passed, her body wasn't working anymore. So she's free. So it's totally selfish that
Yes.
I wanted her to stay. You know,
Yes, because you're looking is at your pain. At
yeah,
your pain. With my mom is the same. She was so sick at that moment, but there was also many sufferings in her life. And now she's showing me I'm happy, I'm free, I'm doing great. So when I think about her and she's doing great, I'm happy. When I think about me not having her here, I feel sad. But
yeah,
that sadness is okay. We have to honor it. This is the other thing the beings of light showed to me. We don't have a culture of grief.
right.
We don't. Is that don't feel that, or 3 days after, okay, keep moving. No, they said to me, this is a process that has to continue. And they show me even techniques that we could do, Kathy. Move. They say shake your hands, because what happened when you're grieving, you do this. You're
Oh,
in the place where you hold, yeah, then you just become like this, and then the depressed person is like this, and you just all like, and they said, do this. Shake your body, shake your hand, go for a walk, ride your bike, water your plants,
yes.
surround yourself by animals because they help move the energy if you have that chance. If not, just even if every day, shake your hands, shake your body, because
Yeah.
what you're doing, you're moving your energy. If you have the chance to dance, dance. Oh my God, that's a really incredible. That's why they said you don't imagine the gift of music, the gift of dancing with the music. And that's why all the cultures that work with grieving, what do? They dance, they
Yes.
move, they shake, they cry. Allow yourself to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that way you free that energy. And then what you're doing, you're allowing these emotions to be present. The moment I say to my sadness, 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 I allow you to be here. Where this sadness feels, because you also mentioned this, Kathy, is not just about the mind, it's embody that emotion. Where does it feel?
Right.
In my chest. If this emotion could talk to you and tell you, give me a hug, or acknowledge me, or I'm here, what would this part of the body would say, and what would you do?
Okay.
Then that way you can embrace the inner child, you can embrace the sadness, you can embrace, see. So it's not ignoring and running away. Would you resist, persist, is acknowledging. Go to the place of inquiry, go to the place of nurturing, go to the place of love, and then check it out and see how you feel after that.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. I want to also, for one more time, I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you and get a copy of your book. They can go to Ingrid Honkala. It's HONKALA.com. And also that Ingrid, we're so lucky. Again, this year, she's going to be part of the IONS virtual conference, which is September 1st through the 5th. And I get to, I think I'm part of, I think I'm helping you. I'm
Oh,
moderator.
good.
I think I've been assigned.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, because I want to mention for my lecture, or my speaking engagement will be about why we're here. What is our purpose? Why do we forget who we truly are? What is all this for? So it's pretty good, because it's showing us the oh my God, the greatness of being who we are and why we're here.
Yes, that's what this whole time period is a huge opportunity to really show up as your soul intended. And that's one of the beautiful things about studying and learning from near death experiencers and all the research, is that you see how much is possible for you if you have the imagination to dream it. It rubs off. Plus the energy of everyone being in their heart. You can see Ingrid's sharing her light with us. It's addictive. Well, the more you pick it up, we're like tuning forks. You do it, and then I want to do it, and that's the beauty of this. The virtual conference is at virtualconference.ions.org. And just so you know, that if you can't participate fully through that weekend, there is 90 days of possible viewing of every single one of the events, including the workshops. So once you buy your ticket, you have 90 days to do nothing else but watch it. And last year, that was so cool. I watched so many of them. In a in-person conference, there's too much to pick from, and you have to pick one. But the virtual conference, you can see it later, so you get to see more.
Yes, yes. So we will always be there present, and I'm just inviting, yeah, people to come to the conference. My presentation, solo presentation, will be Sunday in the evening. I think I'm the last one of the last ones to present Sunday evening. And then, yeah, and I invite you to go to my website, ingridhonkala.com, upcoming events. For upcoming events, I have a really incredible meeting with, I've been invited by the Lighthouse Retreat Center in England, in the UK, to just have this just incredible I would just say like a day retreat, or couple of hours lecture and discussion there about meditation, about awakening, about just deeper truths about wisdom. So that is going to be amazing. That's in September 11.
Perfect.
Is, I mean, such an important day to be able to share some light there. And then I will have their workshop with the Theosophical Society, September 18. And then, yeah, the one upcoming one, of course, the conference from the 1st to the 5th, isn't it? Of
Yes,
September.
yes, yes, yes. And the first 2 days are workshops. The first day is a Reiki workshop, and the second day is a whole bunch of different opportunities to learn from these masters. And then each one of these other opportunities to hear is it's truly an uplifting experience. This is the 40th year anniversary of ions. So for 40 years, this research has been validated and given terminology, because I'm sure that's part of this whole journey is how do you explain something that happened to you, put it into words. And so it's remarkable. And you do benefit. You do, the more you read these books and the more you hear these beautiful beings, the more it rubs off on you and opens opportunities for you. So I really highly recommend, and I highly recommend that you get Ingrid's book, and you'll be a big fan like I am after you do. You want to show it one more time?
Yeah, show it to you guys, and in Spanish too. Now I'm so proud of this because now I was trying to just bring all this light to my beautiful Hispanic community too.
Yes.
And Kathy, before we go, because I think we're at the top of the hour, but I
Yeah.
want to share one last teaching, because you're asking me how we go back to that place of joy. And I think the most important thing, and one of the powerful teachings I received from the beings of light, and I kind of like to always close with that gold button, is when they said to me, gratitude. Gratitude is the highest vibrational frequency there is. And they showed to me, you don't imagine, Ingrid, how grateful every human being would be if they realize that for you to exist, trillions and trillions and trillions of subatomic particles have to be in agreement, Kathy. I mean, wow, that all of this is in agreement for it to be Kathy, to be Ingrid, to be each one of you. They said, Ingrid, you are a divine intention. Kathy, you are a divine intention. So now when I think about a glass of water and think all those atoms, all that there together for me to drink this water, I am in a state of appreciation. So I appreciate deeply that water. I appreciate the pen I write with. I appreciate the paper, all of it, because it's all that divine intention, all this here for us to have this incredible human experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love you, Kathy. So just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cry. Okay. We better go. Thank
Yes.
you so much. And I'll see you soon. I'll see you. Well, it won't be a year.
Oh, yes. It won't.
Thank you, dear. Okay.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank bless you. Bless you.